All innovation is born as a spark in your mind's eye. That spark is cultivated like a seed and brought to life. In film, innovation breathes this life into your art. And much like life, your art is a reflection of your journey. For me, this journey started in 2002.
My buddy Kevin Kelly, who runs a motocross radio show and a motocross racetrack, calls me one day and says, "Man, I got this 17-year-old kid who's just running around and check out these clips. It's unbelievable." So I kind of heard the name Wes Williams, the 17-year-old kid, is pretty much what he was branded as. You could pretty much tell that this guy had a vision that was pretty far beyond, not just his age, but pretty much anyone else was doing.
Like the crescendo of a song, you add, you build, you expand, you create, and you grow. In 2005, the dream of a daily highlight show from the world's largest amateur motocross race would serve as the next verse.
I think the game truly changed because of this vision that Wes had. Getting highlights on the internet before there was the technology to do it was one thing. Then making the amateur scene splashy and big and making those DVD quality videos but putting them on YouTube, putting them on the Vurb site that he started, that was something no one was doing. Nowadays, everyone's doing it in a variety of sports. But it was always a matter of being ahead of the curve.
Enter vurbmoto, a vision that would forever shape the way the world would see our sport.
Shooting all this, editing all this, what no one thought could be done, Wes had figured that out. But the technology was almost like running into a brick wall. And to know that this stuff was happening 10 and 12 years before it's become saturated like it is now, gives you a pretty good idea how far ahead of the game that he was.
To me, this is all about perspective. Are walls an unscalable obstacle, or simply a chance to reach new heights?
At the time, he was just running and gunning, knew all the kids, and I saw like a creative spark in his work and just kind of knew that was something I wanted to use at our company at Red Bull. And it was something that I just didn't see happening anywhere else in the moment.
When vision, passion, hard work, and results collide, the future once reserved only for your imagination can quickly become reality.
In 2012, Red Bull started the Red Bull Signature Series on NBC, and one of our events was Loretta Lynn's. So being someone who knew very little about motocross, it made a ton of sense to bring on someone who kind of knew the most about that event. And in my opinion, it's much easier to teach someone who is already talented how to turn his talent into a TV show than to teach someone a brand new sport.
Where others turn back, true innovation is born from the pioneers that push forward. Innovators don't wait for the technology of their dreams to be created by others.
I mean, it's funny to think back, the fact that we were making 1.5-minute long videos and thought that they were the best thing ever, to a few short years later, creating live content for NBC at these races. I'd be really hard pressed to find coming a farther path than those two things.
The bar had been set, but with that comes the unavoidable challenge of raising that bar. In our dreams, we made cameras fly.
Being able to afford aerials on a low budget in 2012 was massive, and that's one of the things that I've always been impressed with, is Wes's ability to take a budget and see the best way to get optimal shooting in a really innovative and interesting way.
The stakes might get higher and the stage lights a little brighter, but that feeling of accomplishment, regardless of the scale, never changes. When you break it down to dollars and numbers, it is easy to quantify success. But true innovation isn't a product of success. It is much more. It's the miles traveled, the rain delays, canceled flights, and all-nighters, and the satisfaction that comes from beating it all. There is a chance to innovate every day. It's those incremental gains towards a place that only exists in your heart. While it's important to always look to the future, maybe sometimes it's more important to remember why you started this at all. It's still incredibly surreal to look back at the last 14 years. 7 movies, thousands of projects, over a dozen television shows, multiple awards from the American Motorcyclists Association, to co-founding what would become one of the biggest motocross companies in the world, and producing 75 million YouTube views and counting. I think it's safe to say I still do this for one simple reason. I love it.